Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS! Hit the brakes. Cut. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS podcast with Boston Chris. This week, we are super excited to be sitting down at the Red House in Hallsville, Texas. Good buddy of mine, Eric Greer, has let us come over to his property to record this episode. We're super thankful to Mr. Greer and his beautiful wife, Darla, and of course their son, the Hallsville Hammer, Andrew Greer, one of the up-and-coming blues guitarists here in the East Texas region. We are very excited to introduce to you guys out there a guy I very recently heard of for the first time, and as soon as I did and listened to what this guy brings, I was just super interested in hearing him and talking with him, and I thought maybe you guys out there might feel the same way. Prior to this year's awards and the nomination finalists being announced, once again, I had never heard of this guy. I was like, who is this person? And I immediately had to know. So I did some research and figured it out. And let me tell you something. This guy, you know, went from me not hearing about him, which is unusual in itself here in the East Texas area because, you know, I work a lot with local musicians and local venues and things like that. So, you know, there's a lot of people that I've been fortunate enough to hear about. So when the finalists were announced on, I believe it was June 30th, I believe, there was one name. Of course, there were several names that I hadn't heard of, but there was one that was nominated 3 times, finalists in 3 different categories that I had not heard about. And I was like, this is a huge problem to me. And then when we saw the listing, you know, his name didn't make any sense. It's all this jumble of letters, and maybe they weren't in the right order or whatever, and we couldn't really figure out how to pronounce his name, which was an interesting thing as well. But this guy that we're fixing to talk to here today, he's nominated, a finalist rather, for the Rap Artist of the Year Award, the Hip Hop Artist of the Year Award, and one of our big categories, the Album of the Year Award. It's very, very unusual for a rapper or a hip-hop artist to get an album nominated for Album of the Year. So to me, that was very, very impressive to me, and I was interested in talking to him right away for an episode of ETX ROCKS. Of course, the guy I'm talking about is X to the O. So how do you say that? How do you write that out? You might be asking yourself. Well, it's very simple. It's the letter X, a big one, a big X. Not a little x, a big X. And then right after that, in small letters, the letters T-O, T-H-A, and then a large O. X to the O, X to the O, X to the O. That's our guest this week on ETX ROCKS, and we'll get with him right now. All right, so we are sitting here in the Red House with X to the O, or XO, or Stephen Molanders, a man of many names. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, bro. You?
I'm doing good, man.
Good.
So he came all the way up from Nacogdoches, all the way up here to Hallsville, to the Red House. We're sitting with Jimmy and Bob Marley and Mark P with Big P Productions, of course, over there in the corner. So XO, how'd you come up with that name?
Man, it really don't even, it just happened. To be honest with you, it don't have any kind of meaning. There's no crazy story to it or anything like that. You know, it just, I was a Tupac fan always,
nice.
You know, so it was, and you know, he had the Exodus tattooed on his back. And actually, when I first got into music, that's what I was calling myself.
Exodus,
but I didn't have the E. It was just Xodus.
Gotcha.
And it just got shortened up because it was a little too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, my first thought was, you know, being a military guy, I was thinking XO always stood for executive officer.
Yeah.
So I was a little afraid of you.
I tell people it's just hugs and kisses.
No, that way, well, I mean, if you sign a letter XO, XO, XO,
Yeah.
XO, it's like hugs, kisses from XO.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
I don't write too many love letters.
You got to put that out there, right? Absolutely. So, I mean, how long have you been involved with the music business?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
34.
34.
Yeah.
Wow, so you started 21. Was that all locally here in East Texas?
I mean, majority of it, yeah, but I mean, I've moved a lot too.
Yeah. And where are you from?
I'm from Nacogdoches.
Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
And I, you know, we talked in the open about your 3 nominations this year. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Appreciate it.
And I noticed you had posted on Facebook that possibly being the only finalist from Nacogdoches.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's actual legit, but
from my own knowledge, I believe you're one of 2.
Okay, cool.
So even
Who's the
still, a blues band called Brick Street Blues Band.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
No, it's cool.
No disrespect.
I still think it's cool. You know, there's not a whole. I would imagine there's not a whole lot of votes coming from that area. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's still pretty cool. Being fan voted and somewhat of a popularity contest.
Yeah.
You did well, especially like I said in the open. An album is a big one.
Yeah.
You know. And I've listened to some. I listened to the acapella one. What was it called? Retribution, I think.
Nah, Real Definition.
Yeah, Real Definition. And man, I was super impressed with that.
Appreciate it, man.
So I understand you're also a Christian.
I am.
So a Christian rapper.
Yeah.
With 2 kids.
Nah, but you know, I'm not a Christian rapper. I'm just.
Well, I'm not
Christian.
putting them together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying you're a Christian and you're a rapper.
Right.
Not a Christian rapper.
Yeah.
But that's not something I would imagine you see every day, though. You know, I mean, usually, the rap and hip hop scene kind of gets a bad rap, I think, sometimes, don't you think?
Man, it does, but I mean, they've done it to themselves, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The types of music that's promoted mostly, that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of gives it that rap. But yeah, I get it.
How do you, as a local musician in that genre, how do you reach people? I mean, because normally when you have a country band or a rock band, which, you know, we're in East Texas, that's what people like mostly. I mean, all they have to do is go to a bar or a club and get hired, and they're performing.
Yeah. Man,
I know that doesn't happen so much for your genre.
I really don't. But luckily, with the way I am with my music, it's a little accepted differently, as opposed to, because I don't make club music. I don't make music that you're gonna go dance to in the club. You know what I mean? So I get accepted in different places, you know, pubs and stuff like that. But man, honest majority has been social media, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done, you know, shows local at pubs and.
So do you have a band backing you as well, or?
Mm.
So it's you on a track, or I mean, how does
it just depends.
How does a live XO show work?
I do bring a band,
but
it's not like XO and this band or anything like that.
It's just XO.
Yeah. Right. But I do have a live band. That's another thing that kind of separates me from a lot of.
Yeah, I noticed that, and that's why I wanted to ask you about it.
Sure.
I mean, when you have a live band behind you, is it still 100% rap, 100% hip hop, or are there other elements added to it? Like the rock or country or something.
Man, it just depends. It's pretty much the same. I mean, from what you would hear on the album, other than its live instruments. You know what I mean? It's not gonna have the same exact, you know, sounds or MIDI samples or something in it, but it's still gonna you're still gonna know which record is which. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it doesn't change the feel of it by any means.
Right.
You know.
So how did you get started in the business when you were 21?
Oh man. I heard a dude that was like one of the bigger local artists, you know, from Nacogdoches area. I heard him rap one time, and I thought he was good. It was inspiring.
And what was his name?
Glenn Young. They called him Easy G. And I thought he was dope. So, you know, it just kind of inspired me. And I had wrote poetry and stuff in school, you know, and I'd never done it to music, you know, and. So I thought I was going to be funny one night and rap at a party with some friends.
Just like freestyle?
Yeah, they didn't think it was funny. I thought it was funny. They didn't think it was funny. Like my boy Jesse pulled me outside. It was like, do it again. And I was like, man, leave me alone, man. He's like, no, seriously, do it again. So I did it. And that was ever since then, man.
13 years. So, Who was other than what was it, Easy G? Other than him, who were some of your other inspirations?
Just music in general. I'm not a big rap head, to be honest with you. I mean, I like rap music. I listen to it, but I'm not a super, like, that's not like I listen to every day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, man, was more than music itself too. Is just the inspiration of doing something bigger and like actually having a dream to really shoot for and move forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course when you start rapping, it's like, oh, you're a rapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like they automatically count you out.
Yeah,
and they think
that's
it's
what
a
I mean
joke.
about the kind of the bad rap.
Yeah, I mean it's not taken as serious as other music. You know what I mean? Because for me, I don't like being called a rapper.
Right.
Because I've wrote lyrical content wise, I've wrote country records, rock and roll, like blues, even some Christian.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, I've wrote a lot of different genres of music lyrically, you know, and so I consider myself as an artist other than just a rapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but inspiration wise, man, it's just been just trying to succeed, man, and just at the same time enjoy what I'm doing because I love music and you know. And
so are there some? I mean, do you have some inspirations outside? I mean, outside of the genre that you're in, the rap hip hop, is there rock influences and country influences and things like that?
Man, I mean,
that's part of your art. I mean,
no, not really, because I honestly the way that I operate is a lot of times when I'm really like recording and in the zone, whether it be a week or 2 weeks straight, I go in and out, you know what I mean?
Right.
I try not to listen to a lot of music in general. I go in, you know, the producers that I work with send me records regularly, and I listen to the records and I let the music, however the record is, I let that determine where I go. Like I don't, you know, because I don't want to listen to something so much on the radio and then fall into that, like that lane and start doing that type of thing. So I really just kind of stick to me, and I'm very, very partial on being authentic of who I am and my story. And sometimes people frown on that because it's like, well, it kind of boxes you in, you know, to where it's like about you, you know. And so, but to me, that's what's important. Like,
but I mean, creatively, I mean, that's your identity, though. I mean, so I mean, if you're different, if you're unique, then I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Obviously, I mean, usually, you know, we're out and about and seeing a lot of different artists and different genres and things like that, and usually we're very attracted to the different, you know, to the unique.
That's what I always try to do, man. Is like, especially with, and it ain't too hard to do in rap. You know what I mean? Because it's like especially now, man, everybody's doing the same thing. I mean, I'm an artist myself. I write music, so I'm that guy that can understand what people are saying. Like, I can really listen and go, when somebody else is going, I don't even know what they're saying.
Right.
I can understand what they're saying, but when there's records on the radio, I can't understand there's a problem. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I liked about the acapella video that I saw you, and I could clearly hear every word. Yeah. You know, and I liked it because you were telling me a story.
This is my thing, man, and why I'm not so like with the club scene is that I want people to listen to what I'm saying. I don't do it just for you to like enjoy the rhythm or the sounds. I want people to feel what I'm saying.
So you're more concerned lyrically than you are as more than rhythmically.
Yeah, way more.
Because I know, you know, I've talked to a lot of rappers, a lot of, you know, people that are kind of in that genre, and they usually start with a beat. Am I wrong about that? I mean,
no, it's the truth.
They start with a beat and then they add the lyrics to it. I mean, that's typically how it's done. Yeah. And I mean, you're telling me that you do that completely backwards.
Well, I mean, I write all the time, whether it's music or no music. You know, I'm not gonna say I haven't been in the studio and play music, and you know that's the way it happens. Because a lot of times, you know, it happens that way because it kind of will steer the feelings and the way it, you know, the song goes. You know, but I'm that guy, man, that just like, first and foremost, I will never talk about something that I haven't done or I don't have or I'm not going to do. Nice. And I really stand, you know, prideful on, like, just being me. Right. And my belief of that is when you're yourself, you're going to be different.
Absolutely.
But whenever you look at other people and you're like, man, this is what's hot, let me do this,
Right.
that's when you fall into categories with people, you know what I mean? And I can tell you, to be honest, I mean, I've had numerous people ask me, man, 13 years, like, man, you're talented, like, you hadn't made it? I haven't. But
well, I mean, you know, I hear that a lot too.
Yeah,
you know, like,
I'm glad I haven't made it.
Going around town in East Texas and whatever, you know, you see certain artists that you're just like, man, why are they here? Why haven't they made it? Well, you know, personally, I think the definition of making it is to each his own.
Completely.
You know, I mean, you don't have to leave your hometown to make it.
No.
You know, you just don't. I think that's a misconception in this business, big time, I think, and I hear it way too often.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man, I have to play all over the world or all over the country in order to make it. No, you don't.
Especially now with social media, man, and
Yeah,
the internet.
you can reach anybody at any time.
Anytime.
You know? And I mean, the definition of making it is, you know, when your life is over and you're ready to go home.
Yeah, that's the only making. That's the only making it that counts.
Yeah, what can you put on your tombstone, and what will people say about you when you're no longer here? And
you know, that's for me. That's one of the big things about music, and that's why I'm so particular about being that person and being me, is because music lives forever.
Yep.
I'm not going to.
Right.
When I'm gone, that's what's going to be left. And you know, I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And I want to leave something behind that they can not only relate to but be proud of at the same time.
Absolutely.
If I'm talking about a bunch of riffraff, why my kids? I mean, what's enjoyable or what's prideful about that? You know what I mean? Especially if it's a bunch of stuff that I ain't got. You know, hey, I got this and got that, and then my kids, out of all people listening, are like, Daddy never had that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you know, I've got 3 kids myself, and I mean, a big part of my motivation in doing what I do is, you know, when I'm dead and gone, I want people to come up to my kids and say, hey man, your dad really helped me out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if successfully, if you look at like success, like money and being established and like secure financially, they're the only reason that I look at that part of this business, because I do music because I love doing music. It's a therapy for me. Like, if you listen to the EP, you listen to it, like, you can hear, like, this is where I get my emotions out. It's not, some people can say they do that, but you can literally listen and tell that that's what I do. And, you know, so for me, the rest of it is, if that success comes, I'm happy to be able to take care of my kids first and foremost, and then the people around me that have helped me.
We have the same views on things.
Yeah,
we absolutely do. It's like, you know, hey, if this happens the way it happens, then that's a bonus. But in the meantime, I'm going to do what I love to do and try to help as many people as I can along the way. And if somebody wants to pay me for it later, great. Awesome. Thanks for jumping aboard.
For sure. And that's, you know, and that's why I say I'm glad it's been 13 years and I haven't been successful in that line, because, you know, 7 years ago when I thought I was ready, I wasn't ready, because at that time, to be honest with you, I didn't know who I was as an artist. You know, I'm just now, I mean, I'm 34 years old, and, you know, that's getting old in the music industry, especially as a rapper. But it's like, I'm just now happy of where I'm at, like who I am artistically. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So what's your motivation, chiefly?
My kids, man, more than anything, you know. My family, just to you know, get us, make things different and make things better, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like everybody else, man. I mean, I'm not out here making bukus of money. I mean, I'm still...
we bilingual up in here now.
Yeah, I'm still struggling, you know what I mean? I still live check to check and try to pay the bills like I can, and, you know, and to just be able to relax and not have to do that is cool, but it's more for the kids and for my kids to have what I didn't have as a kid. You know what I mean?
And that should be all of our motivations. Always try to pass it down and make sure those below you that come up behind you have it better than you did. I think that's our chief job as a parent, and I think a lot of people fail at that.
I actually seen a meme the other day that said a good father makes a good son. You know, so, or a good son makes a good father. You know what I mean? So
either one would make sense.
And I'm trying to break the chain, man, because my relationship with my parents was not good. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to be the exception to that and break the cycle. You know what I mean?
Change the actions.
Yeah.
I feel you. So, I mean, how would you? I mean, we've talked a little bit about your sound and your inspirations and things like that. So, how would you, as the artist behind the sound, how would you describe your own sound?
Man, I don't want to sound crazy by just saying it's just me, because I listen to a lot of music, but I don't hear people that I feel like sound like me. You know, I know there's been people that say, "Oh, he sounds like T.I." or he sounds like this person or that person. You know, and to me, it's just I think I sound authentic, and I think that's another reason that I haven't been overly accepted until this point where I'm starting to be accepted a lot more, because I think people are getting to where they want something more authentic and more new and fresh, and what I consider a dying breed. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So,
you know, again, I every time we sit with a rapper or a hip hop artist, Latino artist, here in East Texas, again, I mean, it's predominantly country and rock. So I know it's such a struggle for everybody that's not in those categories.
Yeah.
So I'm always really, really interested and impressed by people like you, who, especially with your, you know, experience. 13 years is a long time to be struggling against the tide in a region which.
And that's how you can tell if somebody loves what they're doing. Yeah. And it's a passion other than it's like a way to try to come up.
So I guess my main question is, you know, when you're already fighting that, you know, that kind of struggle with trying to get your music heard when it's not in the box that people prefer around here. I mean, I imagine you probably have doors closing on you all the time.
All the time.
So how do you keep the faith in trying to get doors to open when they keep slamming? I mean,
you said it, man. It's faith. I mean, you know, like you said from the beginning, I'm a Christian, man, and I believe that God gave me this talent and this gift for a reason. And, you know, is it to be a Christian artist? I don't think it is. It's just to be who I feel like God wants me to be.
Right.
And to not only tell the truth and be honest, but at the same time express that I'm a Christian and I believe and that I give all glory to Him. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if He can do what He did, what I'm doing is nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's an easy, like, doors closing is nothing compared to what.
Yeah.
You know, what He went through, you know, so
people out there that are listening, that, you know, because I imagine a lot of your fans will listen, and hopefully we'll get you some new fans as well. How can those folks out there that are listening help you with your art to get heard more here in the local region?
Man, thankfully for social media, man, you just share it, you know, Facebook, you know, Instagram, Twitter, you know, SoundCloud. Those are the types of things that help people, you know, push, hey, man, check this out, you know, because that's what makes things go, that's how stuff goes viral.
Right.
You know, it's everybody sharing, you know, and, you know, it's different when it's music, of course, you know, but that's just the biggest thing, man. It's just, you know, and express the type of person that they feel I am, you know.
Right.
And
I think a big one that a lot of people don't recognize in the music world is, you know, tell your fans to, you know, if there's someone you like, you need to tell your venues about that person.
Right.
You know, if you live in Longview, for example, and you like XO, then tell your venues in Longview that you want to hear XO at that venue.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, the fans don't realize how big of a voice they have.
Right.
You know, and you don't even have to call, you know, like you said, with social media, you know, if you storm a venue's Facebook page, you know, hey, man, we want this person, this band, this artist, whatever, to be at your venue. You know, if enough people do it, you're going to have to do it.
You're going to have to.
You know, because it's like, man, I'm really tired of hearing this, you know, this XO guy or whatever band it is. You know, man, we're getting so many messages about this. I think fans need to know that they have more of a voice than that maybe they know they have.
Yeah.
You know, because every voice accumulated over and over is snowballs. And,
right.
You know, it's like, man, even if it's a country or rock venue, look, if 75 people are saying, hey,
Yeah.
We want XO there. Yeah, we know he's a rapper. Yeah.
I'll do a country or rock venue. I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And the venue shouldn't care either, as long as people are showing up.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that's a big proponent for me. You know, being associated with the East Texas Music Awards, being multi-genre. You know, is I've tried to take it upon myself to help those other genres that maybe aren't as recognized. And I mean, rap and hip hop isn't the only one.
Right. No,
you know,
for
I mean,
sure.
there's blues and Latin music and I mean bluegrass, Christian music. You know, they're all struggling for venues because it's country and rock.
And I think, in my opinion, I think Christian music struggles harder than any.
I agree.
I really do.
I mean, because what is it? It's churches.
That's it.
You know, church isn't going to pay a lot of money for, you know, a Christian band to come in. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine how hard it is to be a Christian band in East Texas. I can't imagine what it's like to be a rapper in East Texas. That's why you're here, because I want to know. You know, and I mean, we interviewed SP.
Yeah,
I know you know SP.
Yes,
I think he was our first rapper, hip hop, whatever guy on the podcast, and that's why I wanted him on, because I want to know more. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's like, man, you know, I see this and I want to know more about it. So what's the best way of doing that?
Right.
Here you are.
Yeah, right.
You know, and hopefully we'll help you get the word out on your stuff and things like that as well. So I know that music's not your only passion, so tell us a little bit more maybe about your family and other things that you like to do outside of the music world.
Man, just spending time with my kids more than anything. You know, I've been, say, 4 and 3. I got a boy and a girl, man. I'm done. I don't want no more. But, really, that's it, man. I mean...
That's not up to you.
Well... But I mean, you know, that's pretty much it, man. Music in my family that's all I do. I mean, I don't have any, because it's such a constant battle, man. I mean, it's you know, from the kids to the you know, I mean, when my 3-year-old little girl can look at you when I get dressed and go, "Daddy, you going to the studio?"
Yep.
I mean, that's all I do is music in my family. I don't have any other, like, I don't play golf. I don't play basketball. I can shoot okay, I just can't dribble. But I mean, you know, so it's that's it, man. I mean, and I'm a firm believer in, you know, if you want something, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not scared to work for it.
I do 99% of my work with my phone.
Yeah.
You know, including this interview.
I think everybody does these days.
Well, I mean, when I'm sitting around the house, I've got 2 children living with me, and I've got 3 stepchildren living with me. That's 5.
You got 5 kids.
5 kids, and they're between the ages of 11 and 16.
Man.
So it's basically 5 teenagers in my house. You know, and obviously I'm on my phone a lot because I do all my promoting, everything on my phone.
Right.
So it's hard for the kids to know, hey, when's Dad working and when's he just checking his Facebook or whatever, you know. So when they see me on the phone, they try to stay away. You know, just coming here today, my son came home from band camp. He's like, "Dad, are you working?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, let me know when you're not working." I was like, "That'll probably be when I'm driving to go work."
Right.
So on the way here, he's just telling me all about his day, and you know. But that's I feel you on that, man. It's like, you know, balancing that career with your kids is really, really difficult.
Yeah, man. And you know, I've traveled a lot more than probably definitely more than probably any local hip hop artist. I mean, I'm very big on getting out at the same time as, you know, as being fan based at home too. Right. I mean, I've traveled all over the world.
And I know that you've collaborated with Clint Dempsey, right?
Yeah.
So tell us who Clint Dempsey is.
He's a soccer player from Nacogdoches, U.S. men's national team, and he plays for Seattle Sounders. Mm-hmm. We actually went to the same high school together. We're working on some stuff, man.
Well, I heard one of them. I forget what the name of it was.
It's Poppin'?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a different feeling between me and him musically to me.
Yeah.
Because it's more of mine and Clint's relationship is a trash talking relationship. Like, it's just constant fun.
Right.
You know, and there's records on the album that literally come from talking trash, saying the same phrase enough to each other that it was like, hey.
I got to tell you a little story. I think you'll get a kick out of this. Me Nathan Honeycutt, who's the founder of East Texas Music and the East Texas Music Awards.
Yeah.
Usually when him and I meet up, it's I live in Lakeport. He lives in Center. So we usually meet in Carthage.
Okay.
Yeah. And we always meet at Denny's. Don't ask me why. It just works, I guess. I don't know. And they have awful food.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they really do.
I don't think I've ever ate it Denny's.
Please don't.
Okay, cool.
We only do that because it's halfway.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten to the point where
I'm sure
like,
there's
look,
not another restaurant kind of close.
Well, I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, look, I'm just going to come to you. You know, I'll deal with the extra 60 minutes of driving.
There's not much left in Center either, though.
Yeah, there really isn't. But at one particular time, we were out there having a meeting or whatever, and I come out, and this was when we were doing the finalist video campaign. And you had sent me your video.
Yeah.
And literally, I'm sitting there with Nathan when I posted your video to the ETX Rocks page.
Yeah.
So we eat and whatever, and I go out for a cigarette, and I sit down, and my Facebook was playing the slot machine. It was just, I was like, what the heck is going on? I go in there, and I've got one notification. Clint Dempsey shared your video. I was like, why is my phone going nuts just because this one Clint guy, I had no idea who he was. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Nathan comes out and he goes, dude, did you see Clint Dempsey shared your video? I was like, yeah, I saw that. Why is my phone going nuts? He's like, you don't know who Clint Dempsey is? I was like, no, please educate me, oh wise one. You know, and he was like, dude, national soccer team, Seattle Sounders, Nacogdoches, Texas, man. I was like, okay. So I go to Clint's Facebook page, and of course he's got almost 1 million likes. And there's your video sitting there on my page, on his page. And I'm just like, oh my God, he has 1 million likes.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to tell you that story because my phone was literally like a nonstop vibrate for like 15 minutes because he shared that on his page.
Yeah.
And your video did very well, let me tell you that.
That's good.
So that's how I got educated on Clint Dempsey.
Yeah. He's all right.
He's all right. So, I mean, he's a famous soccer star, but he's also, a local musician and a local artist like yourself.
Yeah, yes and no. He just does it for fun, man. I mean, he ain't got no kind of, intentions behind it or anything. I mean, we have a full album. We're just tweaking, man. It's got to be right because it's the only album that.
But that's a project you're working on right now.
Yeah, it's a joint project between he and I. That's executive produced by my manager Michael Shahade, and it's just it's a joint deal where he enjoys music.
Yeah.
All the proceeds are going to be donated to the East Texas Food Bank, so it's like Clint's good.
When can we see that or hear that?
Man, I don't know.
You think?
I don't know.
You're not allowed to tell me?
I don't know. We really don't know. Now, I mean, the album is pretty much done, but we're picking, like, we're taking songs off and then we're putting songs back on, and you know what I mean? We're just, it's just that type of deal.
You're just
where,
in that cutting phase.
Like I say, it's got to be right, you know what I mean? Especially for him to never do another album, like he wants it to be perfect, and of course I do too.
And 100% of that's going to the East Texas
Food Bank.
So where'd that motivation come from?
Clint had done some work with them in the past, and when we talked about doing a full album, and talked about selling it and doing all that, we were like, man, what can we do? So it's not like, he's successful now, he can do whatever he wants to do it, because it's not about that,
right.
And Clint was a kid that lived on ramen noodles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he knows what the struggle is.
Grew up in East Texas.
So it was one of those things where it's like, man, let's give back to the kids of East Texas. So that's the charity we chose.
Well, I'll tell you what, when that album is ready and you're ready to raise some money for the East Texas Food Bank, I would like to invite both you and Clint back on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll get the word out and raise some money for you.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Because we're all about charity, especially if it's local in East Texas. Anything with East Texas is
we'll
huge
do it
for
for
me.
sure.
So other than that project with Clint, what else do you have in the works?
The Reserve EP is very soon will be available on any digital.
And that's the one that's been nominated, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. I put it out last year.
Okay.
But it'll be available. I put it out for free. You know, it was my first project in quite a few years. I spent a lot of years signed to a writing company, a licensing company, just writing, but just kind of, you know, just kind of sharpening my pencil, man, and just honing my skills and figuring out what I wanted to do. And then that was the story that I needed to get off first and foremost. You know, it's like a fresh start, but like, hey, look, this is who I am. This is me, and I had a lot of input on that people didn't agree with, and this, but I was doing it for me. Hence the name Reserved. It is me, only me. I got one feature on it. That's a dude that's from local.
How many songs is it?
7.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just an EP, and it's pretty much one of those records that you listen to from beginning to end, because it's not exactly chronological order, but it's, you know, it's my story.
And how has the EP release changed your career?
It's done a lot. It really has. You know, I release, like I said, for free. I release it for free on live mixtapes. Just, you know, people can go and download it. And I've done that for a year, and I think it's time to, you know, put it up where more people can get to it. So it'll be, I don't know exact date as of yet, but it'll be available on any digital distribution site, from iTunes, Google Play, YouTube Music, Amazon, everything, Spotify, Shazam.
And is it available in physical copy as well?
It can be, yeah.
It can be. All right, Simon.
I had a few copies, and you know, and they all were distributed. So I've been told I need to get more.
Yes, please.
And I think we'll work on that.
We like to collect local music.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
and
would
then
love a copy of that.
I just released a brand new single called Pennies.
Yes, I saw that.
And it's
people can listen to that on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud right now, but it'll go up probably digital distribution live about the same time Reserve will.
Okay.
But
and that's on the EP, right?
No. It's a brand new single for the album that I'll drop this year.
Okay, cool. So you do have another album coming out this year.
I do.
Is that a full-length album?
Yes.
Sweet. Yeah. It's going to be all different from Reserved?
Yes and no. You know what I mean? I can't tell the same stories. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
But it's got a little different feel. It's probably, I'll say, like Clint said, it sounds more grown. So I didn't know if that was a good thing or not, and he's like, "No, I really like it."
We'll go with it, you know.
Yeah. So, but no, it's good. I'm picking through. I've got a lot.
Will this be your first full-length release?
No.
Okay.
My first full length I released within a year when I started music.
And is all that older stuff still available? Why?
Nah, man. I mean, I did the whole mixtape thing for a while. My first album is probably still available, but I will never tell you the name of it. But it's like
That's
a full
when
circle.
I was young and foolish.
To be honest with you, I mean, it would blow your mind at the way I've evolved, man. Like, but it's almost like topic wise, it's full circle, you know, because I fell in the same rut as everybody. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
So tell me, how can people that are interested in XO, how can they find you?
Facebook is probably, I do Facebook more than anything else.
Right.
You know, some people do the Twitter more, but Facebook.com/X to the O, XTOTHAO. And then my
Big X, Big O.
my Instagram is I believe it's X to the O as well, and then my Twitter is Steven_XO_ Molanders.
Okay.
And then SoundCloud is X to the O.
Cool. So I think probably the best place for the people to go would be SoundCloud.
SoundCloud for sure,
because they can actually hear your stuff
get the music.
there. I know that XO, Steven, whatever your name is, I know he loves to hear feedback and stuff like that on his Facebook. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And of both kinds, positive and negative. I mean, you can't take one without the other.
We take it all.
So, you know, shoot him a friend request. This is a personal Facebook page. It's X to the O, Big X, TOTHA, Big O, on Facebook. Shoot him a friend request. I'm sure he'll accept you. And check out his SoundCloud, his Instagram, and his Twitter as well, which, of course, you can find all that through just talking to him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or listening to ETX Rocks, of course.
For sure.
So before we end this amazing conversation, and I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, man.
And talking with us. But I'd like for you to talk to your fans and maybe any young people out there that you might have some life or music advice for.
Oh man, just do you. That's the biggest advice I can give anybody, is just be true to who you are. If you're doing you and somebody next to you blows, because it happens all the time, and you feel like you got more talent or you're better than them, and they blew before you, and they're probably doing something that's probably not true to them. They could be, they could not be, but just be true to you. And when it's your time will come. You know, stay hungry, stay persistent, you know, but be patient. Don't procrastinate, but you still got to be patient, you know, and, you know, quality over quantity for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, first impression is everything, man.
Well, once again, we appreciate XO for coming on ETX Rocks. I want to once again congratulate him for being the only local rapper, hip-hop artist with 3 nominations. It's very unusual. I can't stress that enough, especially in the album category. I'm sure he will be present at the award show this year. Is that right?
Yes, sir, I will.
That's September 16th at K.E. Bushman Center in Bullard, Texas, from 6:30 to 9-ish. We'll go with that. If you buy VIP tickets, the VIP hour starts at 5:30 in the evening, and that gives you an opportunity to rub shoulders with the finalists and myself and Jen Ford and other people that will be present.
I'll put the pre-jam too.
Awesome. I was just going to get to that. For the actual awards on September 16th, you can buy your tickets at etxmusic.com. The awards pre-party and meet and greet jam will be on August 25th at Charlie's Backyard Bar in Marshall. We will be running a live recording of the ETX Rocks podcast on that night. Maybe Mr. XO will come join us again on that evening and talk some more with us on ETX Rocks. I also want to thank Everything That Blings for sponsoring this episode of ETX Rocks. Everything That Blings is an awesome boutique right there in downtown Kilgore. I don't know the address, so you can check it out on facebook.com/everythingthatblings. They are a 2016 sponsor for the East Texas Music Awards, and they have incredible merchandise out there for all you females out there. Males, that does not mean you don't want to go there too, because you know you get in trouble. And when you get in trouble, where do you go? You go to Everything That Blings. Go out there and say hi to Jackie and Rio and tell them that ETX Rocks sent you. We'll see you next week. And remember to support your local music, and ETX rocks.
We are ETX Rocks!